Andrew Cain, how you been, Smiler?
What's happening, Rich? I'm all good, mate. Yourself?
Yeah, not bad. Big night coming up. March 25th, defence of your title.
Yeah, man.
Baluta. You look half ready already.
I'm born ready, lad, yeah. Born ready for it. This is what I was born to do, Rich, so just another night and another day.
How do you find the, you know, the waiting in between fights, especially with you doing your sort of 90-second sort of jobs? Do you get that sort of like, is there a period in between fights almost like letting off a bit of steam that you've built up before a fight?
Sort of, lad, yeah, but it's like, I don't know, it's just a waiting game. We understand now that at first, when I first turned over, it did do me head in, and I didn't really know what to do in between fights, and you're eating shit and that and messing around, but now I understand it's part of the game, you know what I mean? It weren't years ago, but it is in today's game. It's a waiting game, you know what I mean? You've got to wait, and
you've got to use that time sensibly, haven't you? Make the most out of it.
You've got to be learning. Well, I'm always learning in this gym. I always have been since I was 10. Always learning. Every day I come in, we learn something new, you know what I mean? As you've seen before on the little tapes that we were watching and stuff. But
I was impressed with the attention you lot were paying, because often with young lads you'd sort of think they drift off a little bit, or if you're playing football it's like, come on, let's get the balls out when you're doing your stretching, you know. So.
Well, no, because Paul, we've got respect for Paul, and Paul is the man who's showing us it, you know what I mean? So maybe if we didn't have respect for him, like a lot of lads haven't got him in for the trainers, then we probably wouldn't pay attention. Because of the respect that we have for Paul, we do pay attention, and not just that, also because we want to learn as well, you know what I mean? We want to watch it.
You ever seen videos of footballers doing their video analysis in the room, and they're all there sort of in a little sort of mini theatre, sort of sneakily looking at their phones and things like that? But
yeah, it's because they've got some knobhead showing them it, or some non showing them it, isn't it? That's why. You know what I mean?
Tell me about Baluta. Do you?
Do you want me to tell you, lad?
I mean, do you respect him and rate him as an opponent?
Yeah, I do respect him. He's a fighter, and you know, and I respect all fighters here after, lad. I respect all fighters that get in there, but I won't be showing him too much respect on the night, you know what I mean? I'll be going in there looking to take him out as always, but I'll be doing it methodically. You know, I've heard a few people saying like, this fight's going to be a war, it's going to be this and that, and it's half done me head in, because I don't have wars, mate. I've had like 70 fights now, all in all, and I've got no scars on my eyes, my nose has never been broke, you know what I mean? Like, I don't have wars, you know what I mean? I go in and I hit and I don't get it back. That's what I do. Just because I've knocked a few people out doesn't mean I'm a brawler, you know what I mean? I'm not far from it. I'm a boxer, you know what I mean? I like to
but a lot of people
punch
who
and not
take
get
that
punched
approach
back.
Can't really punch that hard. But I think normally you've got your slicksters. They're not normally big punchers, are they? So I think that's where people are probably getting muddled up, isn't it?
I can understand why people, because they're not. These people aren't educated, most of them, in the sport. They watch a lot of it and they feel like they are because they watch it. But you know yourself, Rich, watching it and watching something and doing something is a totally different thing, isn't it? You know what I mean? But I do believe, like, people used to do the same with Mike Tyson. They watch him and they say, oh, he's an animal, he's this, he's a monster. But what he is, he's a fine boxer, you know what I mean? And he's got all the skills. Otherwise, you can't just be a big puncher and go in and knock boxers out, because it doesn't work. If all you've got is a big punch, you won't land it, you know what I mean? You've got to be setting it up, and you've got to have good defences along with it, otherwise you're going to get clocked yourself, aren't you? You know what I mean? And not being big-headed, but I believe I can do it all, Rich. I believe I can punch, I believe I can box, I can fight on the inside. You know, I believe that there's nothing I cannot do in there. So bring on these nights, innit? Bring on the 25th and many more after it.
I was saying to one of the lads before, talking about your fight, and he was actually saying probably the fight where you got the most respect for and what really made people sit up and take notice was against the Mexican, where I think you were a bit poorly and you did take your time and you sort of you just literally did a job on him. Yeah. You know, but over the course of the
Mexican?
6 rounds.
Oh, the Lopez fella.
One where you took your time.
Yeah, the Lopez fella. Yeah. Yeah, they only had 7 days notice.
You got a lot of credit for that fight, didn't you?
Yeah. I don't really pay too much attention to what the people are saying, because the people are always going to say something. You know what I mean? It doesn't really matter what they're saying to me, but I understand what you're saying. I sort of showed a little bit of me boxing in that fight because I had to. Because
the credit I mean was from like your promoter and people in the
the people in the know would have seen what we're talking about now, because they didn't just go out and knock him out, did they? I probably could have, but it wouldn't have been the best approach, because I had like 7 days notice for that fight, and I was sick as well on the build-up, like that week. I was sick and I had 7 days notice, so I got in there, and it was probably Like, we all get butterflies, we all get nervous, but it's probably the most nervous I've been for a fight that because I never had a chance to prepare, do you know what I mean? So I got in there and I was on it, you know what I mean? I was boxing, I weren't looking to try and take him out with one shot, I was looking to beat him down, and I was looking to control the pace and not let it blow up too much because my fitness weren't where it should have been, you with me?
Some people go the other way though, don't they? They try and, if they know they're short in the tank, they try and take them out, don't they?
Stupid people.
You tried to pace yourself, didn't you?
Yeah. Well, I'm always trying to take them out, you know what I mean? But I'm trying to box, I'm always trying to hit and not get it back. That's the whole game, you know what I mean? That's what I try and do every time I step in any ring, even if it's in here or if it's even on the pads with Paul, you know, he's trying to whip me back and I'm trying to make him miss and stuff. It's just the way that it is, and it's the way that I've been taught from a young age, you know what I mean? That's what boxing is. Hit and don't get hit back.
Even though you sort of, like you say, you get a bit fed up with everyone talking about wars and everything, can you see why people are excited about this fight?
Yeah, of course I can.
There's a reaction to it.
Yeah, listen,
when it came out, it was amazing, wasn't it?
Any fight that we have as fighters can turn into a war, you know what I mean? And I'm ready for that. I'm ready for the war if it goes there. But my job is to not let it go there. I'm going to control the fight and I'm going to hurt the opponent and I'm going to use my defences and use my skills, as I always will in every single fight that I step into, you know what I mean? But anything can happen, you can get injured in fights, you know, you can break your hand, anything can happen, you can get hurt to the body. It's a fight, innit? Anything can happen, and they can turn into wars, and I'm also ready for that too.
Your mate controlled him quite well, didn't he, sort of at distance?
Who's my mate?
Can't remember his name, Liam.
Oh, big Liam, big Lurch. Yeah, nah, I don't know what, I haven't even watched that fight, you know, Rich. I've done my head in, lad, because I've got like, I wanted to fight him, and then whatever happened, the fight fucking fell off or whatever, and all my people around, like all my people who know me and that, all they ever say to me is Liam this, Liam that, and now I just say, just don't even talk to me about Liam, mate. I've had enough of it. My career doesn't revolve around him, you know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna smash this next fella, and then I'm gonna go down to bantamweight, and I'm gonna clear up at bantamweight. I'm gonna take as many belts in the division that I can, and then I'll move up to super bantam and I'll fill him in if he's still around. But he'll be long gone by then. Someone's gonna have him soon, you know what I mean? Don't get me wrong, I'm not disrespecting him. He's a good fighter, but not like me, I don't believe.
Bantamweight, that's sort of opening up a little bit, isn't it? There was a British title fight at the weekend, wasn't there?
Was there, yeah? Was that happened now? It was vacant, weren't it?
McGoldrick won, didn't he?
Did he, yeah?
On points.
Yeah, I'd love that fight. Like, obviously I'm not looking past this fella. This fella's probably an harder fight than that, do you know what I mean? Probably more around the European level, isn't he? But he's you know, he's good at what he does. He's wild, and I believe he's made for me. I believe I go in there with the skills that I've got, and 100%, he's not going the distance in, no chance.
Now, I think I remember the last time, or a little while ago when I spoke to you, I asked you about your comments about having an ultimate ambition to live somewhere else, Bournemouth, where your girlfriend lives, that sort of thing. Which leads me to ask, I'm curious, what was a young Andrew like, a school age Andrew? What was it like growing up in your town?
It was great, don't get me wrong, I've loved it, you know what I mean? I've loved every minute of it.
What were you like?
I was a little shit, mate, to be honest with you. I was getting involved in the wrong things and just hectic, you know what I mean? Just crazy shit, like fucking... Don't even need to go into it, but
were you not a great person to bump into?
Some people might say that, you know what I mean? I'd like to believe I'm a nice lad, and I owe myself well.
Strange to say that though, because you've been in here since you were 10, 11 years old.
Yeah.
And they normally say the boxing sort of takes all that sort of nonsense out of you, doesn't it?
It does, and it's probably kept me out of, well no, do you know what? It does, but it doesn't, because all my family, all my friends, my circles that apart from in here, I've been involved in shit, and I've had shit going on and make the money a certain way, so I got dragged in anyway, you know what I mean? No matter, like, even though I was a boxer before, and like I was...
It's just an environment.
I just got dragged into shit, mate, yeah, and like, you know, it's just how it goes. It's not out of the ordinary for lads that grow up where we're from. It's either like, yeah, a normal lad, or you're a bookworm, or if you're not a knobhead, you're in with the lads who are doing bad things, really, do you know what I mean? Or you're in with your boxing crowd, but you're not really with them all the time. And everybody that I grew up with, they're all my mates, I love them, you know, but every one of them now are in jail, and there's not one that I grew up with on our estate that's out. Well, it's like one. I think there is actually one of what, like 15 or 16 of my mates are all doing big sentences, you know what I mean?
It gives you a lot of experience and wisdom to see but your own children sort of stay on a good path.
Well, this is what I want for my kids, you know. When I was saying I want to move to Bournemouth, I want to move to these nice places. It's not really for me. Like I do like these places as well, but it's more for my kids, you know what I mean? Like, and my kids would probably be alright here, because I'd make sure they were, do you know what I mean? Like, I never had me looking out for me. I did have my ma, but your mum is your mum, innit, you know what I mean, Rich? And
you're never going to see any bad in you, is she?
Do you know what I mean? No, my mum was on the ball with it. My mum didn't let a lot of things happen, you know what I mean? But like, there's no point in going into it all, innit? But there was loads of shit what happened, you know, like fucking shootings and fucking just crazy shit, you know what I mean? Like, no point in going into shit anyway. Let's move on, Rich, innit? Because it's just pointless.
Well, the other thing, where I was going with this, the 4 years you took out, I'm wondering, like, ultimately, has this done you good? In the fact that you've got that maturity. I mean, on one hand, you could look at it and say, where would he be if he had stuck at it? You know, those Definitely. 4 years. You know, he'd be 22, seeing where you are now. But on the other hand, you've got that sort of knowledge, maturity, experience, everything else now. Which way do you sort of weigh it up in your head?
When I came back, I said to Paul, I want to get fit again, Paul. I didn't even mention nothing about fighting. I just said it'd been 3.5 years, and I was doing whatever. And I come back to Paul and said, I want to get fit again, Paul. And Paul said, okay, come in on Monday. So I come in on Monday, and he said, you're fighting in 8 weeks. So I said, Sam, Paul, no worries. Then I trained for the 7 or 8 weeks, whatever it was. And then I fought that white fella, and then that was me. I was back, you know what I mean? But I always knew I'd box again. I always, like, even all the time throughout them years, like, I've got a mate from down south, he's a boxer. Don't even need to mention his name, but we were talking about, like, we were both out of boxing, and he was saying, like, I don't know whether I'm going to do this anymore, and like, I was like, he was like, what do you think? And I said, look, I'm going to be back, me, you know what I mean? I'm not by any means finished, me. And when I did come back, Paul described it well. Paul had a good way of putting it. He put it as, when you train from such a young age, you'd have all this information that you're learning along the way, and you'd have, like, say, I had like 60 odd fights in the amateur, so you'd have a lot of learning experiences throughout them years. And what happened was, all the information's in there, and Paul described it well. He said it's like an hourglass, and all the information's up here, and it's got to get through a little tiny hole that's this big, and it hasn't got time to get through. And where he had the time off, it gave me the time to let all the information come through, and I came back a better, more rounded fighter, and all the stuff that I'd learned over the years, I had time to settle into my mind, you know what I mean? Where I'd took myself out of the equation.
The young you might not process that, mind you. So.
No, well, that's it. Well, because other being still in here, wouldn't I? Still doing it, still getting the experiences, and it didn't have a chance to get through all the information. You know, Paul put it like fucking, he hit the nail on the head, you know what I mean? And it proper resonated with me, and it's still stuck with me now. That was like 3 years ago now, you know what I mean? It
would have been a crying shame to have, you know,
it wouldn't have happened.
To have lost those years.
No, it wouldn't have. Well, it is a crying shame still, because I could have, like you say, I could have been world champion, but I'm still going to be. No, but if you'd
have given up what you'd done from 11.
Yeah, well, no, that was never going to happen. That was never. The only thing what made me do it was money, lad. It was money, you know.
Children, didn't you, child?
Yeah, it was the money, mate. Like, we weren't making no money in the boxing, you know what I mean, and that's what done it. But that's done now, and I'm on the right path, and I'm in a good position.
So you've got to be
myself in that position,
and I'm happy with where you're going.
It's coming, lad. It's coming, because I'm going to make it happen, and we'll show you on the next one, and then the next one, and then the next one again. Because every time I get in there, I'll show you.
And you are a name on people's lips. People want to see you fight, don't they?
I hope so, yeah. I hope so. Yeah, I hope the city can get behind me, you know, and start getting some big nights in Liverpool, stuff like that. Because without the likes of that, you don't really go anywhere, do you? You know what I mean?
Right. I'll let you go home.
Laughing, lad.
March 25th.
Nice to talk to you, Rich.
Ionut Baluta.
Yeah.
I think he's only got one way to fight. I don't think he can do it 2 ways, can he? So.
No, you know what you're going to get, don't you?
I think so.
Definitely, yeah.
And he smiles and laughs a lot, doesn't he, by the look of it?
Do whatever he wants, lad. Do whatever he wants, Rich. Honest, he's got nothing on me, like, he's not taking my life away. No chance.
Good lad.
Yeah, man.